All right, today we're going to dive into something I think is a real game changer. It's a framework for taking those arguments, the ones that just spin in circles, and turning them into conversations that actually get somewhere. I mean, have you ever been there? Just stuck in a debate that's going absolutely nowhere. It's like you're talking to a brick wall. Everyone's just repeating themselves, nobody's really listening, and you walk away feeling totally drained. Well, what if there was a way to kind of flip the script on the whole thing, to change the very bones of the conversation itself? So, the first big idea here is to bring some order to that chaos. And we do that by thinking about any good discussion as having two key roles. We're going to call them the pilot and the navigator. Now, this distinction is super, super important. The pilot, well, they're the ones steering the ship. Their job is to guide the conversation, to actively push it towards a single point, towards convergence. And the navigator, their role is just as critical, but it's different. They're not there to fight or argue back. Their job is to follow the pilot's logic, to really, genuinely try to understand where this path is headed. And look, these roles aren't set in stone. They're totally flexible. You can switch back and forth. Maybe you're the pilot for a while, but then you get a little lost. That's fine. You can just say, okay, I'm going to be the navigator for a bit. You take the wheel. The only thing that really matters is that for the conversation to actually move forward, someone has to be in that pilot seat at all times. Okay, so once you have this structure in place, it causes this huge shift in how you see the whole thing. Suddenly, the goal isn't about winning anymore. It's not about being right. It's just about making sure the conversation is pointed in a good, productive direction. I love this analogy from the source material. It's like, you don't have to agree on exactly how you're going to get to the store or even what you're going to buy when you get there. You just need to agree that you're both headed towards the store and not, accidentally driving in opposite directions with one person heading to the store and the other one ending up at NASA's headquarters. You got to have a shared destination. Because without that clear shared direction, that's when you wander off into what the source calls a forest full of lions. And that's just a metaphor for a place of total conflict, confusion, and misunderstanding. So the whole process just becomes this constant, simple check-in. Hey, is what we're talking about right now moving us closer to our goal? Or are we just getting more and more lost? All right, this next part is maybe the most important metaphor in this whole idea. It's the core of it all. See, there are really only two ways a discussion can go. You're either on the highway or you're on the train tracks. So think about it. Most of our arguments, they're like a highway, right? This is what we call relative debate. There are a million different lanes, tons of exits, off-ramps. You can literally take the conversation anywhere you want. And that's exactly why they so often end up going absolutely nowhere. The whole goal, the big trick, is to shift to an absolute discussion, to get that conversation onto the train tracks. Because on the tracks, there's only one path forward. Yeah, it might curve and bend, but every single movement is still propelling you along that one single journey. And this right here, this is the technique. This is the whole ballgame. The job of the pilot is to kind of subtly, without the other person even realizing it, guide the conversation off that crazy, chaotic highway and get it locked on to the clear, simple path of the train tracks. This is what's so wild and so powerful about this. The other person thinks they're being clever. They think they're dodging your points, weaving around your logic. But because you've laid the tracks, every move they make, every dodge, is actually just another push forward on the train. They're helping you move the conversation along without even knowing it. So you might be asking, okay, I get the train tracks metaphor, but what's the engine? What actually powers this thing forward? Well, it's something that sounds completely backwards at first. It's the power of not refuting. So what on earth does that mean, not refuting the refutation? It's simple, really. When the other person challenges you, when they try to refute your point, you don't fight back. You don't create that head-on collision that just stops everything. Instead, you just accept what they're saying. You take their point and you gently guide it back onto the tracks. You use their own momentum to keep the train moving. So here it is, broken down. Step 1, the other person makes their point, they refute you. Step 2, and this is the hardest part, you resist that instinct, that powerful urge to just argue right back. Step 3, you accept their refutation and you just guide it back to the main path. And what happens next is almost like magic. Step 4, the argument starts to converge on its own. Now, I gotta make something super clear here. This is not about being manipulative or tricking someone. It's the exact opposite, actually. All you're doing is helping reveal the logical conclusion of their own statements. The destination isn't your victory. It's just the place their own logic was always going to end up. You're just helping them get there faster.
So if you stick with this process, if you keep the train on the tracks, you will inevitably pull into the final station, and that station is called convergence.
The idea here is that a truly logical argument, what this framework calls an absolute truth, is incredibly stable. It's almost circular. You can pull on it from any direction, you can poke it from any side, but it always just settles back into that one single correct path. And that's what makes this whole thing so resilient. Even if someone misunderstands your point or they think it's contradictory, it doesn't matter because you're not fighting them, you're just gently guiding. You can steer that misunderstanding right back onto the main track, towards the one correct destination. And this brings us to the most incredible part of this whole thing, the ultimate outcome. You never have to be the one to say, "See, I told you so," or "You're wrong." You don't have to, because if you laid the tracks correctly, they arrive at the destination. And when they get there, they're the ones who see the flaw in their own logic. They end up being the ones to refute their own starting point. It's powerful. So let's bring this all home. What does this mean for you, for me? What's our role in this whole journey? This quote from the source really just nails it, I think. No one succeeds in reaching the goal alone. We all need those guides, right? We need pilots to show us the way and navigators to help us understand it. We can't do it alone. But that final step, that last leap across the boundary into true understanding, well, that's something you have to do yourself. At the end of the day, people can only help you. They can lay the tracks for you, they can point you in the right direction, but you're the one who has to actually decide to take that step. You have to keep the journey going. So that leaves us with one last question, and this one's for you. Now that you've seen this map, now that you understand this path from the messy, chaotic highway to the clear, single-minded train tracks, where is your next step going to be?